Welcome to In the Box Seat. I'm Ray Fewings, and the great greyhound racing continues on. Not that far away before we have the state heats of the national sprint and national distance. Noms closed the other day. All of the good dogs are in. Let's hope they get right back to their top form so we can do as well as we can. This Thursday night at Angle Park, the Stayers have got the spotlight again. Same blokes. Calden Mayhem, of course, ran on Monday night. He's been going very well over the sprint. He's gradually working his way up to the Thursday night company. But the Stayers are going to be the feature again. And of course, Satanic Cash continues to be the star of that particular show. Our guest on In the Box Seat tonight is Brendan Gotschutsky. And of course, he's been in the game for a long while. We're going to hear his story, but I fear that it's probably the misfortune of another that sees him back very active in the game again right now. We'll find out all about it a bit later on in this week's session. Now, racing nationally, there's a lot on. We've got the Meadows, the Hudson Pacific Maturity Final is on this week. Dapto, the Megastar Maiden, we've got all the way to the finals there for Thursday night. At the Gardens, the Memorial Maiden there, Laurie Helion, they're in the final semis and so on there. At the Meadows, the AWM Distance Championship is on July the 30th, so plenty on there at the Meadows for their stayers, and they've got a heap of them. Shepparton Cup, we've had the heats and the final, of course, on the 29th. And even Darwin. Now, a lot of South Australians have gone up there over the years. I recall Mike Giniotis going up there a few times. The Darwin Cup, during their racing carnival, of course, July 29 for the Darwin Cup, and it is worth 25 big ones, so 25,000 to grab there in Darwin. We'll see if any of the South Australians head up that way because, well, a few dogs have gone from here recently and been immediate winners, so perhaps the standard isn't quite as good up there as what we're accustomed to. Now, the tips for the week coming up on Wednesday, our experts say race 3, number 8, Emma's Gift. Now, this dog's been cramping up in 500s lately. He's been running very, very good times, leading, and he's been run down a few times. I know the group of the Trot Boys own this particular dog, and if they can get him right and stop him from cramping, he'll win a number of races. But he does look to be well placed on his last run behind 40-20 in a sprint. The other one is race 5, number 1, Just Chasers. I pinched this one off me, the office. This greyhound's had one start for a win at Gawler, and then he went coursing at Virginia, and he showed them a clean pair of pads there too. So he looks a nice greyhound in the Don Turner kennel. Goes to the 515 at Angle Park for the first time, but he should be a very hard dog to beat. Now, Thursday night, the Honeys are suggesting race 1, number 5, Aston Thomas. He's only put in the one poor run recently. It was a terrific run last start, and he should absolutely bolt in Thursday night. And their first 4, race 1 is 5732. And their other one, they've gone for another old dog from the Jovanovic kennel. He's been around a lot lately, but he's racing in super form. I'm talking about race 7, number 7, Sergeant Trigger. He's 4.5 years old, and of course he ran second behind Led Zeppelin last week. He thunders home at the end of his races. The first 4 for that one, the Honeys say it's 7, 6, 5 and 2. What do I like for this coming week? Well, Wednesday I've gone for race 4, number 1, Honky Tonk Girl. I think it's a special. Was placed in 30 and 16 last start, getting fitter with every run. And I put in Just Chasers, the other one, race 5, number 1. Now, Thursday night, I agree, race 1, number 5, Aston Thomas. I think race 3, number 4, Podsy Ardley can win his first South Australian race. He ran a terrific third in the Champion Puppy the other night. He got knocked over at the start. He flew at the finish. I think he'll win on Thursday night. And I've got a sneaky one, race 10, number 6, Urquhart Bale. He was a good dog about 6 or 8 weeks ago. Been out of form since. I think it's a race that he can get right back into the winner's circle. So we'll go for Urquhart Bale on an each-way basis in race 10. Next up, the big fella Brendan, our guest for In the Box Seat. Well, as promised, our guest on In the Box Seat is Brendan Gotschutsky, and he's joining us right back into the racing game in recent weeks. Welcome, Brendan.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks for having me.
Now, let's clear up the name once and for all. It's probably a good German name, but you've probably got the set way of saying it. So let's put it on the record once and for all so everyone knows.
Yeah, Gotschutsky is normally the way the family would say it, but there's a number of members in the family that would say it different too.
Right, so it's as in chutney, is it? Brendan Gotschutsky.
Chutney, Gotschutsky, yeah, I'll take any way it comes.
We're still confused, but that'll do, yeah. Now, you're back in the caper.
Well, yes, I am. Yeah, back training a few dogs, Ray.
You've always had dogs. You've been in it for how long?
Probably like 13, 14 years now, I suggest, as a hobby trainer, of course.
And you're a southerner. We don't get too many from down south. Where are you from?
Hallett Cove.
Right. So you got any beach down there or not?
It's beach, but it's fairly rocky, and one would suggest it's not the swimming beach that we would want, Ray. No.
Right. Bit deep, few sharks and all that?
Well, plenty of sharks, few squid off there that
Right.
jump on lures, so it's not a bad beach in that respect.
How many dogs do you keep?
Up to 4, but normally only 2 or 3. I mean, that's plenty for me. I generally farm them out if they're any good, and I'll keep the ones that are a bit slower.
I understand that. Are you a busy man?
Yes, with work and training, obviously, as you can appreciate, it takes a fair effort to put in to train dogs, but the more you have, the more time you've got to put in, so that's why I stick to a minimum of a couple.
Could I have a guess at what you do for a living? I reckon you're either a bouncer or a boxer or a weightlifter. What do you do?
Police prosecutor, actually, Ray.
Well, there you go. And take your hand off my arm. Yeah, police prosecutor. Well, that's an interesting job.
Yes, I've been doing that the last 12 years. I've been with SAPOL for the last 25 years, but prosecuting the last 12.
How many years study before you could do that?
No, they generally send you away, and it's a pretty much a crash course. It's not like a barrister or solicitor. It generally we aren't afforded the length of time that they would do, but you generally gain it by experience as well.
So we're out of Christie's Beach Court?
Yep, Christie's Magistrates Court. Yeah,
It'd be a bit of a worry living down that way. Do you run into neighbours from time to time?
well, it's not too bad because the borders put me on the other side, which means I'm probably in the Adelaide boundary, so I don't generally deal with the regulars that would come through our doors.
So we won't ever see you turning up at Angle Park with the dogs in the back of a police car?
No, it's been done before, but it won't happen, no.
I've got a mate in Melbourne, he's had his pigeons in the back of the police car. I know that. When he's running late, he puts a siren on, but that's another story.
Right.
Get back to your dogs. Now, you're looking after Megastar Supreme at the moment, and boy, oh boy, has it proved to be a star over the 600.
I think she always has gone well over 600. We put her over last Monday, and she went good. It was a good run, yep.
Is she yours for keeps or only until Aussie Chiga gets back from his holiday in New South Wales?
Okay, well, I'll clear that up. It's actually Lizzie that I'm caretaking for. They are away, as you probably know, and they're having a holiday. So upon their arrival back in Aussies, well, we haven't discussed it, but I'd be pretty confident that they would be returned to his kennel.
Right. And what about your own dogs? What have you got?
Well, I've got a couple with Michael Stewart. They were with Aussie originally. They've only had a couple of starts for a win each at Angle Park.
5 Amigos, is that one of them?
5 digits.
5 digits, that's right, yeah.
5 digits. He's injured. Salami Thief.
They won a race here.
He did. He's injured.
How did you get his name, Salami Thief?
A mate of mine in Victoria makes salamis, homemade salamis. He's not a registered butcher or anything similar to that.
So he's a bit of a... does it on the sly.
Backyarder.
Yeah.
And there was another mate of mine that used to go over there and take my salamis, basically, that were made for me.
Right,
and
right,
I named the Salami Thief after.
So you'll never forget.
No, that's right. Yeah.
And what's been your best dog that you've had? Because you have had them, as you say, for quite a few years.
I guess I've had handy dogs. The turnover's quite large in my kennel.
Well, you must have high standards.
Well, I generally get the slow dogs, but there was a bitch going back some time, Hopper Lee. Murray Harvey trained her. She was a handy bitch. We had Astrid Street. She was a handy bitch. They all won, their 15, 20 races, I guess, and they were handy. Groom was another one. He won a country cup and a few over the distances here. Well, not the big distance, but just handy, Ray. Just handy.
Well, it's been a pleasure catching up with you. We see you out there as the big fella. We had no idea of the story behind you, but you're a jovial sort of a character. You seem to enjoy life.
Oh, well, I think you've got to. And, this is my out. You work and dogs are a relaxation for me, and enjoy it while you can.
Well, let's hope that Brendan can win a few more with Megastar Supreme in the next 3 or 4 weeks before the decision has to be made one way or the other as to what to do with Megastar Supreme.
Oh, I think the decision's made. I'm quite sure it's going back. I'm only a caretaker, so but she's a lovely bitch, and I thank you for having me on the show.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. Our guest, Brendan Kashutsky, on In the Box Seat. Now, don't forget to look up the face in the crowd for Chase's Restaurant, the the last week. And if your face appears there, get in touch with Greyhound Racing SA and you could be getting yourself dinner for two. And of course, for further information on greyhound racing, always go to grsa.com.au. Keep backing those winners.